Imagine a world where there is only one city. One city for every human being alive. 8 billion souls. One place. That place is London. This is what would happen. Every other city on Earth gone. Not destroyed. Simply never built. Never needed. New York is now nothing but forest and river estuary. Tokyo has returned to rice fields and quiet shoreline. Paris is just a gentle bend in the Seine with no cathedral, no cafes, no crowds. Shanghai is once again a mudflat at the mouth of the Yangtze. Every continent, every landscape, every place that once held millions has gone back to what it was before cities ever decided to happen. The forests grew back, the desert stayed empty, the mountains stood untouched. Except London. London remained. London became everything. The first problem is simple and enormous. Greater London still covers exactly 1,572 square kilometers, the same familiar boundary. But now it holds all 8 billion humans alive today. That means roughly 5 million people per square kilometer. For comparison, the current densest neighborhood on Earth holds about 130,000 people per square kilometer. So we would need to go about 40 times denser than the densest place that has ever existed. 40 times. Let's see what that actually looks like. The first thing that happens is that London grows. Not outward. It can't. Beyond the boundary is pure wilderness, the last wild earth. So it grows upward. The greatest construction project in human history begins immediately, and it never, ever ends. Towers shoot skyward like time-lapse plants in fast motion. Steel, glass, brick, stone, and speculative future materials rise layer after layer, floor after floor, decade after decade. The original skyline disappears beneath new layers. The Shard and St. Paul's and Big Ben become small familiar landmarks lost in a forest of impossible height. The city keeps building because the population keeps arriving. The architectural reality of this new London is layered literally. The original Victorian streets still exist at the very bottom, preserved under glass domes and climate-controlled environments. Above them sit the Edwardian blocks, then the Art Deco apartments, then modernist housing, then contemporary flats, and then far future levels that reach into the clouds. Londoners live 50, 60, 70 floors above those old cobblestone streets. But on their days off, they ride the long lifts down to walk the preserved Victorian levels, like visiting the world's largest and most familiar open-air museum. The gas lamps glow. The rain is simulated but smells exactly right. It feels like home. Welcome to London World, the only city on Earth. 8 billion residents. The largest human settlement in the entire history of the universe, as far as we know. The Thames still runs through the center of everything. The same deep cobalt river that has always defined this place. It still rains, probably more than before, with 8 billion humans breathing, heating, cooking, and living in one concentrated spot. The weather is still discussed with the same weary, affectionate grumbling that Londoners have perfected over centuries. Some things simply refuse to change no matter how big the city becomes. The 33 boroughs of Greater London each become entire worlds in themselves. Hackney, still roughly 40 square kilometers, now holds 300 million people, roughly the old population of the United States squeezed into one London borough. Yet the Regent's Canal is still there. The pubs are still there. The towpath is just significantly more crowded than it used to be. Every borough feels like its own continent, but they are all still unmistakably London. From the top of the tallest tower, now 2 kilometers high, with its own weather systems forming on the upper floors, you look out and see London stretching in every single direction. Just London. Endless London. Tower after tower, bridge after bridge, light after light. And then, at the very edge of your vision, where the city finally meets the boundary, you see the wild green. The untouched world beyond London. Forests, plains, rivers, all returning to what they were before humanity covered the planet in cities. The last wild earth. The residential towers are never uniform. This is still London after all. Each tower is required by maddening but beloved planning regulations to layer every architectural era. You can live in a perfect recreation of 1890s Victorian streets on floor 3, or in a speculative 2090s cloud-level apartment on floor 600. The journey in a lift between floors is genuinely disorienting, like traveling through centuries in 30 seconds. The Victorian levels inside these towers are the most sought-after addresses in the entire world. The waiting list is 40 years long. Artificial rain mists gently from the ceiling through sophisticated misting systems. It smells exactly right. It feels exactly right. Londoners sit in corner pubs on these levels, pint in hand, having deep philosophical debates about whether simulated rain can ever truly be the same as real rain. The pint, of course, remains completely unchanged. The Thames is now literally the most important river in human history. 800 different bridges cross it at every possible style and scale. 20 million cargo vessels a day move along its lower reaches. Yet on the lower levels near the surface, you will still find people fishing from the banks, catching almost nothing, perfectly content anyway. Because this is London, the city is organized into vast cultural and geographic zones. The Pacific East, at the far end of what used to be East London, is home to 2.5 billion people with heritage from East and Southeast Asia. The Atlantic South, below the Thames, carries the cultures of Africa and South America. The central core remains, as it always has, deeply British in character, even when 8 billion people are all calling themselves Londoners. Every street mixes London bones with every architectural tradition on Earth. The city absorbs everything and makes it London. 4,000 languages are spoken here every single day. No language has died. A universal translation system makes conversation effortless. Yet people still cherish the specific beauty of their own words, their own thoughts, their own ways of seeing the world. London holds every way of being human. The food is the one thing that makes 8 billion people agree the whole experiment was worth it. Borough Market never closes. Every culinary tradition on Earth collides and creates new classics. Ethiopian-Japanese fusion is now considered traditional. Nigerian French restaurants have more Michelin stars than Paris ever dreamed of. Vertical farms cover entire tower facades. Rooftops are edible gardens. The city smells permanently of fresh bread, honey, and rain. Tea is the true universal language. Builder's tea, matcha, masala chai, mint tea, butter tea, whatever your culture calls the hot drink. When life gets difficult, someone puts the kettle on. The kettle has been boiling somewhere in London continuously since 1857. The pubs remain the soul of the city. Same worn carpet, same slightly uncomfortable seats. Same question across every language. What are you having? Same answer. I'll get these. Every culture adapted the British pub into its own version, but they all still call it the pub. It is still the third place where strangers become neighbors and neighbors become friends. Street food is the most democratic institution of all. 8 billion people cannot all sit down for a 14-hour tasting menu. The carts line every Victorian street, filling the air with gold wisps of jerk chicken, red wisps of ramen, green wisps of falafel. Fish and chips is still wrapped in paper. It is still perfect. Some things are London beyond London. The Globe Theatre still stands on the South Bank. Shakespeare is performed every single night in 4,000 languages by actors from every tradition. All the world's a stage has never been more literally true. Every September, the Great Feast happens. 8 billion people each bring one dish. Tables stretch for thousands of kilometers through streets and parks. No one organizes it completely. It organizes itself through cheerful London improvisation and the ancient instinct for queuing. It works. Transport is the greatest engineering achievement in history. 10,000 tube lines, 500,000 bus routes, skylanes full of air taxis, 15-minute neighborhoods stacked vertically from ground to summit. Yet the red double-decker bus is still the most beloved way to see the city at human speed. The announcement, "Mind the Gap," is still made 3 trillion times a day. The gap remains. Some gaps are identity. London World powers itself completely. Solar on every surface, wind harvested from the towers themselves, geothermal from deep below, tidal from the Thames, and even footfall generators that turn every step of 8 billion people into electricity. The busiest tube stations at rush hour can light entire boroughs. Every step literally powers someone's kettle. This is considered motivating. The Port of London is the only port on the planet. Everything the city cannot grow or make inside its boundaries arrives here from the rewilded continents. Everything it makes leaves from here to serve itself. The Port of London Authority, founded in 1908, still runs it with the same argumentative efficiency it always had. At the edge of the city, the boundary is sharp and physical. On one side, towers, lights, noise, 8 billion lives. On the other side, untouched, wild forest pressing against the glass. Wolves returned decades ago. They look at the city with mild interest and seem to have decided it is not a threat. Londoners visit the edge the way people once went on holiday. They stand at the glass, look at the wolves, and the wolves look back. Both sides seem content with the arrangement. The cultural explosion is beyond description. Every artistic tradition on Earth collides in one city. Music sounds like all of humanity at once. Theater uses 4,000 languages in single performances. The Tate Modern now stretches 10 kilometers along the South Bank. Street art covers 20-story tower walls. The results have no name yet. They're still being named as we speak. Festivals never stop. The calendar is one long, overlapping celebration. Diwali lights the city gold while dragon dances wind through the East Zone and Holi throws color across every street. London has always known how to celebrate everything at once and simply call it Tuesday. Ordinary life is the real miracle. People still wake up, make breakfast from many traditions, take children to school on floor 40 of the same tower, commute 15 minutes, work, eat street food, visit a dome park, go to the pub, and sleep. The scale is impossible. The days remain beautifully, stubbornly human. There are real challenges. It is crowded beyond imagining. It is loud. It is never truly silent. Loneliness still exists, but it is shared loneliness among 8 billion others. Inequality remains, though the floor of basic dignity is higher than anywhere in history. The weather is its own creature. The queues are legendary. Yet the city keeps figuring it out the way London always has, with grumbling, improvisation, tea, and stubborn affection. From the edge, the wolves watch the golden glow of 8 billion lives and seem unbothered. They have the rest of the planet. London has us. Both arrangements feel correct. Buckingham Palace still holds garden parties. 8 billion simultaneous ones across every borough with identical cucumber sandwiches. Tower Bridge still opens for tall ships 35 times a year. The ravens at the tower are still tended with obsessive care. St. Paul's Dome still rises above the chaos and says the same thing it has said for centuries. London endures. What if London was the only city in the world? It would be too crowded, too loud, too gray, too rainy, too complicated, too expensive, too delayed, and it would be the greatest achievement in human history. A single city that figured out how to become a true home for every single human being on Earth. Not perfectly. London would never be perfect, but it will be London, and that, for all its glorious imperfections, is exactly what a city should be. A place where you can be exactly who you are and still find, somewhere within its endless layers, something that feels unmistakably yours. 2,000 years ago, the Romans built a bridge and called the settlement Londinium. They had no idea what it would become. No one ever does. Cities become themselves through the people who arrive, stay, work, love, argue, build, burn, and rebuild. London is what 2,000 years of those people made it. Every single person who ever arrived. Every single person who ever stayed. You made London. London made you. That has always been the arrangement. The 6 ravens at the Tower of London are still named, still tended, still the most important officials in the city. The legend holds, if the ravens leave, London world will fall. No one lets the ravens leave. The ravens are fine. The planet outside the city is the wildest it has been in 10,000 years. Forests have thickened. Rivers run clean. Oceans are recovering. Species have returned. London World gave the Earth the one thing no treaty could: space. By being the only city, it gave every other acre back to the wild. The planet outside is wild. The planet inside is us. 8 billion of us. Here, a street at dawn. This is London at its most true. Not the grand panorama, not the skyline, just a simple street. Victorian terraces, a lamppost, dawn light, gray, pink, gold, coming through the gap between houses exactly as it always has. One person walking with a cup of tea in their hand, going somewhere or nowhere. This is enough. This has always been enough. London. The question was simple. What if London was the only city? The answer is everything we have seen. The impossible density and the small corner shop. The 10,000 tube lines and the eternal signal failure. The 8 billion people and the single person standing on London Bridge with a cup of tea. The rewilded world beyond the edge and the Hackney Marshes football on Saturday morning. The greatest achievement in human civilization and the perfectly ordinary cucumber sandwich at the garden party. All of it, all of it, all of it is London, which means all of it is us. And that has always been what London meant. The pub is still the pub. The place where London has been figuring itself out since before it was London. Where strangers become neighbors. Where neighbors become friends. Where 8 billion strangers, given enough time and enough pints and the specific chemistry of the British pub, perfected here and now belonging to everyone, become community. Still the pub. Always the pub. Last orders when they tell you. Not before. London World at night. The Thames dark and perfect. The bridges lit. Tower Bridge golden in reflection. The towers vivid with 8 billion lit windows. St. Paul's Dome still there. Still the same dome Wren completed in 1710. And above it all, if you go high enough and look directly up on a clear night, the star. It was there before London. It will be there after London. It is there now, looking down at everything we built. The star is unbothered. The star is fine. London is unbothered. London is fine. The Thames at dawn. The city waking. The same river. The same dawn light. The beat of a quiet residential street at dawn. Classic Victorian terraced houses stand side by side as a soft, pink gold dawn light breaks through the gaps between the towers. A single individual walks slowly along the pavement, cradling a warm, steaming cup of tea in their hands, looking out at the morning sun. Text on screen, a street. Dawn, tea in hand. London, voiceover narration. Finally, we end on a simple street at dawn. This is where London is at its most true. Not in the grand cityscapes, the mega towers, or the global statistics, but right here, a quiet pavement, a fresh dawn light, and a warm cup of tea in your hand. This is what a city is meant to be. A place where an individual can walk in the morning quiet and feel that they are exactly where they belong. London gave that feeling to its very first residents 2,000 years ago, and it gives it to its 8 billion citizens today. The same street, the same tea, the same dawn. It is, after all, more than enough. Pushpin end card, 1900 hours 2035. Visuals. The hand-drawn animation slowly deconstructs, stripping back stroke by stroke until only a single sketch of a piano key remains, then a single ink note, before fading entirely to an empty, aged parchment texture. Audio. The full orchestral arrangements fade out completely. At 1940, the music strips back to a simple, solitary piano melody. At 1950, a final single note sounds out, followed by the soft, soothing sound of falling rain filling the silence until the